everyone's having a good Friday afternoon. We just got done in San Diego for the last day or two. We were in Ontario, California 3 days ago, back down to San Diego, and now we're headed back up to Ontario tonight, and then to Las Vegas tomorrow, and then flying back to the Midwest. We've talked about driving up north on I-15 from San Diego, and it's an exceptionally pretty drive. Lots and lots of mountains, lots of valleys, passes, elevation changes. Not necessarily canyons, but it's just very scenic. And we've also said it's a lot different from driving up I-5, because in I-5, you get a lot of views of the ocean and beaches and $1 million houses, and here you don't see a lot of houses. It's just mountains and terrain, things like that. Very interesting. Just a quick video to talk about the options you have for sound systems in the current F-150, the 2021 F-150. And there's really basically three options. And the first is the factory sound system, which we haven't really experienced, so we can't tell you how good or bad it is. The second is the B&O sound system, and that's around a $600 option, give or take, at least on the XLT trim package, which is what we have. And the B&O sound system, it's got a lot of pretty looking speakers. It's got tweeters up in the A-pillars that you can see. It's got, some 6x9s down in the door panels. You can see them there. I don't know exactly how many speakers it is, 6 or 8. But it's a $600 option, and, I hate to say it, but in terms of premium sound systems, this is about the least impressive one we've encountered. We have a 2004 Expedition, Eddie Bauer, and that thing has a better sound system in terms of its ability to produce volume and actually move air compared to this one. This one does not have a subwoofer. Our old Expedition, that's more than 15 years old, does have a subwoofer. And so a lot of people will say, too bad, you're middle-aged, you don't need to play your music that loud anyway. And okay, fair enough. But a lot of people who buy these trucks maybe aren't middle-aged, or maybe they are, and they want to listen to some music from the 80s, from their childhood, the 70s and 80s, and turn it up every now and then to play some good music for their kids, so the next generation learns what actual good music sounds like. And in the $600 B&O sound system, that's an option on the XLT. I'm not sure if you can get on the XL. I wouldn't be surprised if it is unavailable in the XL, as a way of forcing you to step up and get the XLT. Also not sure if it's available in the Lariat as an option, or if it just comes standard. But unfortunately, that B&O sound system, like we said, it just doesn't really do the job. It's clean, and it produces pretty accurate sound. But the minute you start turning it up, you can tell it doesn't really want to hang with you. It wants to give up and kind of tap out. This is separate from the discussion of Sync 4 and the 12-inch screen, because we've got no issues with this big 12-inch screen. Very, very good integration with CarPlay, as you can see here. Pretty much the only thing we're ever going to have up on it for any amount of time is the Google Maps screen. And yeah, there's been some people who said that the Ford system, the Ford navigation, works better than Google Maps. That's to be determined. We will see about that one of these days. But it seems very hard to believe that Ford can do better in terms of predictive traffic analysis, in terms of real-time routing and rerouting and all that type of thing, compared to Google, which is getting input from every single device on the planet that has Google Maps or is an Android system. Every single one of these cars that has an Android phone or that has Google Maps or even the Google app running on it is providing real-time data to Google in terms of traffic. And that's many, many millions. That's tens or hundreds of millions of vehicles. Let's just say tens of millions at any given time. And you're getting real-time navigation and rerouting as a result of that. So for the time being and the foreseeable future, we will be using Google Maps to navigate. And this 12-inch screen, we've been at it we've had this vehicle now, this truck, for almost 8,000 miles. And been driving it very hard the entire time. In and out of it. Cold weather, hot weather. We've had it up into the 90s a couple times during some of our stops in Las Vegas. And it has practically never glitched out on us or had any trouble. But again, the screen itself is not the same as the sound system. The sound system is basically the amp and the speakers. And then the data they get from the screen, you know, from your Bluetooth devices or from your radio or whatever else you're trying to play through it. You cannot play a CD through it, by the way. There's no slot for a CD. You're going to play an aux input or a Bluetooth device or the built-in AM, FM, XM radio, and that's the only choices you have. So again, the screen is a good job, but the $600 B&O sound system, it doesn't really do much for us. To us, it feels like a factory radio, like a non-premium sound system. I mean, there are vehicles. This vehicle we bought, which is an XLT with a lot of options, cost, give or take, roughly $60K out the door, and with a lot of options. And for a $60,000 vehicle to have a sound system that doesn't even have a subwoofer and really can't move that air, it's just a disappointment. Especially in an F-150, which is the most popular vehicle on the planet, and which you know is appealing to a wide variety of demographics, some of which, including everybody basically under 40, like to play their music loud all the time. So we're not sure what Ford was thinking. Well, we know what they're thinking. They wanted you to step up and buy the B&O Unleashed sound system for even more money, which has a subwoofer. And theoretically can produce loud, clean sound with a lot of bass. And okay, fine, we get it. But it does feel like a bit of a ripoff to not get good, loud, clean sound out of a $600 upgraded sound system. So, bottom line, if you don't really ever need to play your music loud at all, or you don't listen to a lot of music, you just listen to your talk radio or what have you, the factory sound system might be okay. If you do listen to music, we're not going to say you need the $600 B&O sound system, but it's something to think about. Again, it's a middle range, and it's not really all that satisfying though in terms of volume and bass. If you plan to be playing your music pretty loud, pretty consistently, you absolutely have to step up and get the B&O Unleashed sound system, and that's unfortunately the way it has to be. We did a lot of searching around when we bought this truck because we knew we didn't want to order it. It was January, February, March timeframe, and the lead times were 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and by March the lead time was up to something like 12 to 16 weeks, and that is before the chip shortage and the complete shutdown of F-150 assembly production. So even before then, in March, we were looking at a 16-week lead time. So we said to hell with it, and we started searching dealer inventory all over the Midwest. And we found exactly one truck that met all of our needs, specifically an XLT, Power Boost hybrid, 6.5-foot bed, 4-wheel drive, with 360 Copilot 2.0, towing mirrors, and high output Pro Power on board, and a couple other things. This thing has the big sunroof, which we don't care about and would not option in if we had the choice, but we didn't have the choice. This thing also has leather seats, factory installed, or sorry, dealer installed, which are very rare in an XLT. We wouldn't have asked for it, we wouldn't have paid for it. We got the cost taken out. I mean, they do an okay job, but we didn't need them. This thing has a sliding rear window, which we didn't really need and wouldn't have paid for and asked for, but we've got it and we use it a lot. It's okay. This thing also has the integrated tailgate step, which we thought was a total gimmick, and then once we got the truck and started using it a lot, you cannot live without that tailgate step, especially if you're middle-aged and your knees and your back and your and all your joints are starting to go bad. You absolutely must have that tailgate step if you're loading and unloading the truck as much as we are. But then one thing we looked for, one thing that wasn't really a necessity, but we did look out for it, and it was the B&O sound system. And we thought, yeah, that's neat. We'll get the $600 B&O sound system. And then we got it, and we started putting a lot of miles on the truck and started, road tripping and playing our music on it. And we thought, the sound system is just not that impressive. And
in half a mile, keep left to stay on I-15 North.
And as a lot of other people have confirmed who we've talked to, yeah, nobody really is that impressed with the $600 B&O sound system. So if Ford was smart, and
keep left
and we know they are,
I-15 North,
they'd either charge less for the B&O, the B&O sound system.
Continue on I-15 North for 8 miles.
So that you don't feel like you got taken for a ride when you buy it, because maybe it's only a $300, maybe a $400 option, and not a $600 option. Or they would make the B&O Unleashed sound system a lot more available, because we did not see it in hardly any of the trucks we looked at. And granted, we looked at mostly XLTs, but it does not appear to be that widespread of an option in terms of availability, at least in dealer inventory. So anyway, word of the wise for those of you who are out there shopping for F-150s, do not expect great things out of the $600 B&O sound system. We can't even tell you how bad the factory radio is, and maybe we'll go back to the dealer and try one just to see how much worse it is. But I mean, God, for $600, it could be a lot better. We know a lot of people who are getting the factory radio and switching out the speakers and putting in better speakers, maybe adding a little more power, maybe adding a woofer to the factory sound system, and maybe that's the way to go. We'll talk to some of them and see what they think and get their feedback. But that's the kind of effort not a lot of people want to go to, in terms of taking out and installing new speakers and then running new wiring maybe, and so on and so forth. We've done that kind of thing. It does take a lot of effort, and you're taking apart the entire interior, which used to be a lot easier than it is now. 25 years ago we were doing that kind of thing, and it wasn't that hard. And now, yeah, it's a lot more work to take apart your interior than it used to be. Anyway, everyone, again, we said we keep it short, and we're trying to do that. So that will be that'll be it for this video. Thanks, and hope you all have a great weekend.